Hi everyone and welcome to today's video. And in today's video, we are going to look at data types. So in the previous video, we discussed about variables, right? And how you can store different information in these variables, right? Uh, so this different information that you store is also categorized into data types. So for example, let's look at an example over here. So when you write name, so for example, let's take my name is Farooq. Okay. So when you write name, this eh, generally we call this as text, but in programming language, this is called a string, right? This is called a string. So when we say we or my name equals Farooq, okay. So what's happening over here is we are creating a variable uh, by the name of my name, okay? And this stores some information which is Farooq. And what's the type of this information is string, right? So any text or anything that has double quotes is a string. So Python treats this as a string. So in Python, you don't have to tell Python that, oh, this is a string. Can you please store this inside this? It automatically understands that this is a string, right? So that's one of the data types that we have. So the first one is string. Okay, the other one is int. Int basically is integer. So when you say any number, so this becomes int, right? So again, what you see over here is Python doesn't ask you to show that oh, I'm giving you an int. It understands automatically that this is an integer and it will store this. So that's one of the beauty of Python, that you don't have to explicitly tell it that I'm giving you a string or an integer. It automatically understands, but you as a programmer need to know what kind of data you're giving to store in the variables. So this is very important. Then you also have float float. Okay. And float is basically an integer, but when you have a decimal point, so this becomes a float, right? And then you have a boolean. Uh, so this means when you say true, you could say true or false. So boolean only has two values. It has a true or a false. You can't give anything else. So when I do this, it automatically becomes a boolean value, right? So if I do this and keep it in quotes, this becomes a string, because anything within double quotes is a string. But when I just give this false, it becomes a boolean. All right. So these are the things that you need to understand before we go ahead to the next videos, because whenever we write any program or any code, basically what we are doing is we are taking information from the user, and then we take that information as a string, as an integer or anything else, and then we work on that information, right? So for example, uh, a user might give us 2 plus 3, right? So what we need to do is take this 2 and 3 and then add this in our program and then give the user the output. So basically it's input and then our code, and then you have the output. So that's all there is in programming. Uh, so you need to understand the basic structures of these data. Why would you call something a string? Why would you call something an integer? All right. And there are a few more data types also in Python, but for a beginner, we won't look at those. The only one that we will look at is a list. Okay. And so list basically is a set of values. So for example, uh, you know, uh, we have a score of all the students in the class. Okay. So the list starts like this. Okay. And you have a score of all the students. So one student got 65, another got 23, and another got 87. So this basically is a list. Sorry, I got two commas here. Okay, so this is a list. So list is exactly like the name suggests. It's a list of items which is comma separated. That's all. And you have to put them in a square bracket. All right. So that's a list. So now when I say, what we can do is, we can print this, and see what we get, right? Let's try to run this. Sorry, yeah. So I need to comment this because this was just to explain. Okay. So now, so you see it directly printed list over here, right? So this, and we will look at each data types in detail further. But for now, if I were to say this is a Boolean is true or false, right? So when I say true, then this becomes true, right? The name of the variable is my name. The value is whatever we give the value. So if I give 2.3, then it's going to print 2.3, right? So a list also does not always have to be like only digits. So it can be like this in the previous example, okay? Or it could be a combination. So it could also have high or, anything else. So this also works fine. So for a list, it does not have to be one kind of, input. It can be numbers, it can be string, it can be different things, right? So you see, so a list doesn't care what you have inside it. It will just take that value. And this is very useful when we start programming and write some advanced code. List becomes very useful because you can like go through the data and you can store multiple data within it. But for now, you just need to know these different data types. Apart from this, there are more like set, tuple, and other stuff, but we won't get into that for now. Just knowing these is good enough to start with. And then, as we go ahead in the videos, we will keep introducing and learning about other data types in detail, right? I hope you found this video useful, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you.